Hello everybody, welcome to Tuesday's tea time at the Ritz, or coffee time, or Prosecco time, or champagne time, whatever time you want it to be in terms of what you're drinking. I'm so delighted that you could join me. Today I got up and I thought it's a bit chilly. I'm going to put a jumper on. And I got this one out of my cupboard, and it's a bright pink one from Whistles, and it's got this sort of red writing on, and it says, "You got this." And I thought that's a terrible jumper to wear in a pandemic, because anybody that I meet, if I'm wearing this jumper, I'm very, very definitely hoping that they haven't got this, because if they do, I need to avoid them. Anyway, I thought it was quite fun to wear this jumper today, and I'm also wearing guess where these are from? I'll give you three guesses. Yes, they're from my favourite earring brand, Tulali, and they're lovely. They're iridescent pink with a little pink glittery bit here and little black studs. So I was thrilled to get these this morning, because what happened on Sunday, heartbreakingly, was that one of my lovely little Tulali Brights, the blue ones that I love to go with that Pizookie shirt that I was wearing yesterday, I knocked it off the side of my wash basin, and it disappeared in the hole behind the wash basin in the floor, and it's gone for good. I've poked around in that hole for about 10 minutes, realising that it was a very deep hole, and I just couldn't get the earring back out again, so it's gone for good. So do you know what? I've got a brilliant excuse to go onto Tulali's website, order myself a replacement pair of bright blue Pebbles earrings, and I've been told by people on the Super Troopers page that they now have them in cerise. So how brilliant would that be? Because I have got lots of things that cerise earrings are going to go with perfectly. Anyway, that's my tale of woe for today. What are we talking about? Well, skin. You know, it keeps your insides in, and it's actually a very important, very major, and the largest organ of our body. It's also a great reflector of and barometer of health. You know how when somebody's not very well, you look at them and you say, "You don't look very well. Are you okay?" Why doesn't the person look so well when you look at them? It's usually their skin is reflecting the fact that they aren't in tip-top shape. They might look very pale, perhaps they've got dark circles under their eyes, or they just look a bit peaky, you know, but that peakiness will tend to be something to do with their skin. So yes, it's a big barometer of health. It's also quite important to understand what skin is and how it works. Now, we tend to think of it as the stuff that we see when we look in the mirror, and in so many ways that is the bit that we have to concern ourselves with, both in terms of skincare and also, of course, we put makeup on it. But skin is quite a complex structure, and it's complex because it's actually got three layers, best illustrated by my handy little piece of cardboard here. So this cardboard is held, the two bits of it are held by this structures in the middle, which has made the cardboard plumper and squashier, and actually is quite a good illustration of how skin works. So the outside layer, this bit, the smooth bit on the outside, is the epidermis. That's the bit that you can see. The bit in the middle, which is where the protein structures are, the collagen, the elastin, and so on, it's a little bit like a scaffold, just like this bit of cardboard, and that is holding up the outside layer, and that's called the dermis. So the dermis underneath the epidermis, and it's the important bit, because in that bit is the stuff that makes your skin look better, younger, less wrinkled, and so on. And then the underneath layer is the hypodermis, which is where you find all the blood vessels, which are supplying the skin with much needed blood. So, very good illustration of how skin works in these three layers. What can you do to maintain the health of all those three layers? Well, obviously, age and aging has an impact, especially the menopause and the postmenopausal years. That is why as we get older, our skins change quite dramatically and they look different from how they did when we were younger. So understanding our skin and how it works and what is likely to damage it is quite useful. So let's start with what damages it most. Well, I'll give you 3 guesses for that. Most damage that is done to skin, possibly up to 80% of the damage that's done to our skin, is done by the sun. So exposure to the elements. Obviously, it's the kind of exposure that you get in those countries that have very strong UVB, UVA rays. I can remember the first time I went to South Africa, obviously a country that for most of the year round actually has a very hot climate. And I was in my early 40s at the time, and my aunt and uncle who lived there introduced me to their friends, and 1 or 2 of them asked me how. Now, I think I said that I'd got children who were in their teens, which they were at that time. And I can remember people saying, "You've got teenage children? How old are you?" And when I said I was 42 or 3, I think I was, maybe I was 44, I say, "I'm 44." And they go, "44? My goodness me, that's incredible. I thought you were about 25. Now, that sounds a bit, bit strange thing to say, but I think it's because my skin, my white skin, obviously, in a place where other white skins exposed to that very strong African sun had aged a lot more quickly than mine had, was a good illustration of the fact that by living in the northern hemisphere, in a temperate country where exposure to very strong sun is fairly rare, and anyway I had always protected my skin from very strong sun, then obviously the effect on your skin of that is going to be very different. So sun, yes, is very damaging. Now many people are now absolutely hysterical about protecting their skin from the sun. They won't go outside unless they've got factor 50 sunscreen on and so on and so forth. Now, I'm going to be very careful what I say here, because if that's your choice, then who am I to say? I'm, as I keep saying, I'm not a doctor. Again, I have to tell you that my own mother died of melanoma. She died of skin cancer. She had very fair skin. She never protected it from the sun. She never wore sunscreen. She used to put a bit of Nivea cream on when she went out in the sun. And from the age of, she would have been in her 40s when she started to go abroad to places like Portugal for holidays. But her skin was never protected from the sun at all. And she died of melanoma, a mole on the back of her leg which became cancerous, and ultimately they weren't able to save her life, so she died at 67. So I, of all people, believe me, am very, very conscious of the fact that the sun can do enormous damage to you. I also had a basal cell carcinoma removed from my hairline about 6 months ago. I'm under the full care of a local NHS dermatology clinic. I go there regularly, I get checked regularly, all my moles are checked regularly, and I'm very, very alert and aware of any possibility that I might have inherited my mother's tendency towards some form of skin cancer. So I get it, but I'm also reasonably relaxed about getting out into the sun. I don't wear a factor 50 sunscreen. We do have SPF in our day cream, and I do wear a big hat, and I don't sunbathe. But outside of that, I feel that there are beneficial effects to the sun, to my skin, from the vitamin D that I will get from it. So, as I said, I try and take a reasonably relaxed attitude to it, whilst at the same time not taking major risks. The second thing that's going to damage your skin more than anything else is smoking. I can always tell when somebody smokes when I look at them, because they've got that very slightly grey tinge to their skin, and that's caused by the fact that smoking reduces blood flow to the skin, and it also blocks the production of vitamin C. So the fact that the skin looks very slightly grey is because it is not getting the blood flow that it would normally get, because this nicotine in the cigarettes inhibits it. On average, a smoker's skin will look under a microscope 10 years older than a non-smoker's skin. The third thing, this sounds like I'm now lecturing you about, smoking, drinking, and so on. I'm not into lecturing people. I'm not into telling people what to do with their lives. These are choices that you make, but they are choices with consequences, and I'm just pointing out the consequences. Okay, alcohol. Alcohol also impairs the absorption of vitamins A, D, and E. It dehydrates the skin and dilutes the blood vessels, so that the skin often, in somebody who drinks heavily, looks red and puffy. Now again, you can usually tell when you look at somebody if they're a bit of a drinker, and it is to do with this puffiness that they tend to get as a result. So, you and I know in our heart of hearts that the sort of lifestyles that we lead is going to have an impact on how our skin looks. The fourth thing is dieting. Now, if you constantly, as I once used to do, binge and starve, your skin is going to be affected by that, because for a time you're going to have a sort of plumpness, a certain layer of fat on your skin, and then perhaps you get rid of it and suddenly, you've got that really gaunt look that the face takes on if you've lost all of that subcutaneous fat that just plumps up your skin a little bit. So was it somebody once said, and was it Barbara Cartland? I don't know. Somebody said at a certain age, a woman has to choose between her face and her backside. Wasn't that? The idea being that if you have a little bit of fat on your body, your face will look better. If you have no fat on your body, then your face will look a bit gaunt and therefore slightly more wrinkled. It is interesting to note that Japanese women often look way, way younger than European women, because their diet is largely composed of oily fish and vegetables. So again, the composition of your diet is incredibly important. I want to talk to you a little bit more about that tomorrow. The fourth thing that makes a huge difference to how your skin looks is sleep. It's not called beauty sleep for nothing. And if you are getting your, pretty much required 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, then your skin is likely to look a lot better, more rested. And of course, you're not going to have those black circles under your eyes. Now, I've got some little tips and hints for you here. I don't know how you're sleeping at the moment. I don't know whether lockdown is making you sleep less because you're more anxious and worried, or is actually helping you to sleep better. I did read something on Super Troopers from somebody who was saying that she was actually sleeping really well through lockdown because she's more relaxed. Now, again, you're going to hate me for this. You're going to hate me so much, but I sleep like a log practically every night. It's very, very rare for me to have a bad night's sleep. But I have learned over long years how to have a good night's sleep. And I've discovered that my natural sleeping pattern is completely owl and in no way lark. So what do I mean by that? I cannot get to sleep before about midnight. But having got to sleep at midnight, I sleep solidly until I wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning when my alarm goes off. So by not trying to go to bed earlier, by not trying to force myself into a pattern of sleeping that my body dislikes, I've actually learned that naturally I like to sleep from 12 till 8. When I was working, I couldn't sleep from 12 till 8. I used to have to go to bed earlier and then have to get up a lot earlier. But now left to my own devices, I found this natural routine for me. I've got some some sort of guidelines here for how to sleep better, if you're interested. And I took them from a book called, this one, it's called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. It's very, very good, that book. It's worth reading if you're interested. This is his guideline. For a start, have a sleep schedule and routine, which is what I have now. I never try to go to sleep before 12. I'll read until 12, and I never sleep in the evenings, nor do I fall asleep over my book. So my routine is sleep from 12 till 8. Don't exercise too late in the day, but do exercise during the day because it will help you. Avoid caffeine and nicotine. These are stimulants. So I have my last cup of tea, which has got a small amount of caffeine in it, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So tea at the Ritz is a good time for me. I try not to drink anything stimulating after that time. In fact, I only drink water after that time. Avoid nightcaps. Alcohol just before bed robs you of REM sleep, which is that rapid eye movement sleep, which is the one that you need, the bit that you need. REM sleep is the thing that, unscrambles your brain, helps to prevent and protect against dementia and such like, and also ensures that you are actually properly refreshed in the morning. Avoid large meals late at night. Now, I don't know about you, but as I've got older, I've discovered that there are certain things that if I eat them in the evening, they keep me awake. Pastry being one of them. So anything really rich, the sort of thing that you lie in bed going, oh, I wish I hadn't eaten that. So again, the kind of food that you're eating can have a big impact on how relaxed you are. 6, are you taking any medicines that interfere with sleep? So there are certain blood pressure medication, heart problems, all that kind of thing. Do check with your pharmacist if it's got anything in it that's likely to keep you stimulated in a way that will prevent you from sleeping. Don't have naps during the day or in the afternoon. My mother used to sleep really badly, and she used to go to bed every day from about 2 till 3:30 when she got up and had a cup of tea, because she was so tired, and it was a completely self-defeating, cycle. I'm so tired, I sleep in the afternoon, then I can't sleep at night. Have a wind down period before bed. I try and put my laptop, my screens away, and not do anything for the last hour and a half, 2 hours before I go to bed, and I always read, which is my routine, and it helps me to become sleepier. Hot baths are good. Dark and cold bedrooms are also good, and every day, preferably first thing in the morning, it's been proven by research that going out into natural daylight for a good half an hour makes a huge difference to how well you sleep. And finally, if you can't get to sleep, don't lie in bed for longer than 20 minutes. Awake, get up, do something restful and peaceful, and relax back to sleep. And possibly, somebody gave me this, I Can't Sleep, and it's a journal, and it's full of little quotes. And the idea is that you get up and you write something in your journal about why you can't sleep, what's on your mind, and so on and so forth. I think that's actually a really good idea. So that's something I hope will help you if you're having a few problems with sleeping. Sleeping affects the skin. And I'm just going to finish with the story of my own skin, really. I have had terrible skin for most of my life. I had bad acne when I was a teenager. In my early 20s, when I first got married, I had very challenging and difficult skin. I didn't outgrow my teenage years. I had T-zone spots here around my nose, on my chin, and also on my back and front. And I was quite desperate much of the time. It got better in my middle years, and then after I went through the menopause, I got acne rosacea. And I have to say, for the last, even as long as 15 years, I have been in quiet despair with the state of my skin. Red patches, terrible spots, lumps, hard, painful lumps that would last for 2 or 3 weeks and then would slowly be absorbed on my forehead, around my nose, across my nose, on my chin. And then I found a cure, a solution. I overcame the problem to the extent where now the age of 72, after all those years, I no longer have problem skin. And I'm going to tell you all about that tomorrow. So thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye bye.